Previously on the Rod Pedersen Show.
Power rankings. And I'm only going to ask you for your top 6, but they came out from the USA today. And I'm interested to read them to you. I'm not sure that I agree, and that's what's fun about power rankings. They literally don't mean anything, but I know people get all worked up about them and love to talk about it. So I get that. Number 1, they got the San Francisco 49ers, the best team in the NFL, entering Week 4. Number 2, the Philadelphia Eagles. Number 3, the Miami Dolphins. Number 4, the Kansas City Chiefs. And number 5, the Buffalo Bills, which, by the way, I've been talking to Joe Lazito on Long Island, huge Bills fan, and he says this is Canada's game of the week. Sunday, Dolphins at the Bills. Bills are favored by 3. I'm now anointed into, I guess, the fins up army. I got to speak for the Dolphins, who, while they are the most exciting team, and yes, Troy Aikman talked about their spread or their motion offense being similar to the Canadian Football League. It's got everybody all horny in Canada, that the CFL was mentioned on national television in the States. They're not a physical team. They're not a brute force team. And from what I understand this week, the Bills are going to brutalize, or at least try to brutalize, the Miami Dolphins and bring them down to earth. So we'll see. That is the game of the week, the Dolphins and the Bills. Let me say it again. San Fran 1, Philly 2, Miami 3, Kansas City 4, Buffalo 5. And the Dallas Cowboys have tumbled all the way down to we can't even find them.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
Did you have that deal in Edmonton? Did Jones make you practice the last year?
Oh, hell yeah, he did. Yes, he did. But it was funny because I had that conversation with Foley. I was back in the Rider game, the Alumni Lounge, and he was telling me that he had a pretty good year that year. His job was to go get pizza for the boys on Fridays, I think, and just pretty much show up for games and hang out with the boys and have beers and eat pizza.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
It is. Hi, everybody. It's me, the champ. It's the RP Show, and we are live on Game Plus Television, coming at you on this Thursday, September the 28th, on the radio on WQEE. Shout out to Atlanta, Rhino Radio, and the crew down there in the Peach State. Maybe you're watching us on a replay or on podcast, your favorite platform later in the day. Welcome. Come on inside. Coming up on the program today, we're excited. We've got Toronto Maple Leafs podcaster from the Offside Hockey Podcast, James Roberts, makes his home out there in the Maritimes. And from Bonfire Sports in Winnipeg and NHL.com to chat Jets and Bombers, Darren Bombing will join us from the Slurpee capital. Darren Moose DuPont is with us in the NHL's Bermuda Triangle. And I want to say this, Darren, about getting James Roberts on the air. I was on his podcast, Offside Hockey, sometime during pandemic, but they were playing hockey. And we found or gained a whole lot of new viewers from the Toronto area and the Leaf Nation because of James' podcast. And I wanted to welcome him on here and return the favor of a little bit, because there's something about you people, you Leafs fans, you just can't get enough Leaf talk. Is that where you're at today, Moose? You just can't get enough Leaf talk.
That seems to be the case, right? I mean, they can't get enough of it. But I think that's, with all the big teams and the big markets, they can't get enough either. Rider fans were always like that, scouring for more news. Dallas Cowboys fans, same thing. So it's great, and James will be great on the show today.
I learned that once. I knew a guy, this is not a lie, that he fed the lions at the zoo. That was his job, and part of his job. And he said, it's unreal with these lions, man. The more you feed them, the more they want. And I'm like, yeah, sounds like Rider fans. That's what made me think of it. So Leaf fans are the same. You're right. Cowboys fans, Dolphins fans. So James Roberts will be with us from the Offside Hockey Podcast. And Moose, we're doing this show with a heavy heart. Before we get into the Quick Six show topics, you'll notice something new on the set. This is an Aaron Ekblad bobblehead all-star of the Florida Panthers. It was a gift from my friend Thad from the Pompano Beach House in Pompano Beach, Florida. Because Alexander Barkov suffered a serious injury yesterday during the taping of our Cats and Bolts podcast, and I'm distraught. Barky,
No.
is on the DL.
Oh.
Yes, we were filming the show in downtown Boca Raton with Bill Lindsay. I don't know what you can see. And Barkey just rolled
of his
right
legs
off
are
the
gone.
couch. Both his legs are gone. So I'm very upset for a lot of reasons. Probably primarily, this was a gift from the Florida Panthers last year, and Barkey just had a mind of his own. He rolled right off the couch and smashed into fifth. He lost his head. Yeah, so we got to get this thing fixed here over the weekend. The time flies, man. No time to get him into the injured list, into the infirmary today. So we'll do it on the weekend. So, yeah. Okay. Can you hit this quick six show horn, please? Tuna. And I'm glad that we have a whole lot of time to get into things. I read the article at 3 Down about the CFL ratings and television ratings. I don't know if you saw it. I'm sure you did. The Saskatchewan Roughriders had their lowest ratings since last year. But the Blue Jays are just kicking the crap out of everybody in Canada. 1 million plus viewers for the Blue Jays games. And so I'll tell you this. The Toronto Blue Jays, point one, still haven't secured a playoff spot in the American League, although they're in good shape to do it. The Jays were blanked 6-0 by the visiting Yankees on Wednesday night. They're in the American League wildcard standings, a half game up on the Houston Astros. And based on the television ratings in Canada, and baseball will always be big in America, obviously, I'm pretty safe in talking about it for a moment before we get to the NHL and football, Darren. But I guess it's maybe a good thing that at least my expectations are low for the Toronto Blue Jays. I shouldn't speak for you. I shouldn't say our expectations are low, but mine are, because the last couple of years they went into the playoffs and I had enormous expectations for the Toronto Blue Jays. And what did they do? They took our heart out and they threw it on the ground and they stomped on it. So I guess if they make the playoffs, I'll be happy because I don't expect it. But I see Canada is on pins and needles when it comes to the Toronto Blue Jays playoff fate, and that's pretty exciting.
People seem to love that term, up and down like a toilet seat. And that's what this team is. You said it.
Yeah.
1 week, you're so happy this team's going to be in the playoffs. It's guaranteed. The next week, oh, now we're not so sure after you lose to the Yankees. But I think they're going to be okay. I hope they get in. I'm hearing people in Canada say, well, same thing. I have no expectations. This team's not going to win. They're not consistent enough. Can't play against the good teams. Then I read articles coming out of ESPN in the USA saying, watch out for the Blue Jays. They've got the best team ERA in all of baseball, and they could be scary come October. So I don't know what to believe. I would just say watch the games. And as you say, we get really excited in April. We kind of stay in and out and maybe lose it during the year, and then we get really excited again come October. So I'm not surprised the television ratings are up.
Yeah, right now they're the number one thing on television in Canada in sports. And that's all you can ask is to be in it. And they are, but I don't have any expectations. But apparently all of Canada's watching. So I'm glad that, hey, listen, I spent a half a century almost in Canada. I haven't forgotten how we think. And I'm just like everybody else. So we'll see what happens with these Toronto Blue Jays. Now, point two, Edmonton Oilers captain Connor McDavid scored the overtime winner in a 2-1 preseason win over the visiting Vancouver Canucks Wednesday night in the NHL preseason. I'm just going to run through some of the games. Andrew Mangiapane netted the shootout winner for the Calgary Flames in a 3-2 victory over the Winnipeg Jets. And the Toronto Maple Leafs down the Buffalo Sabres 5-2. I watched that one, and I don't know if you did, but just, obviously James Roberts coming up from the Offside Hockey Podcast. I'll get more into it with him. But the ice seemed very tilted in Toronto's favor. It was on the NHL Network. Playing in a junior barn seemed obviously weird in the Kraft Hockeyville game, but also fun in a way, too, for the Leafs and the Sabres. But it was a lot of domination by Toronto. Martin Jones in goal. I thought he was good. The Montreal Canadiens edged the Ottawa Senators 4-3. And in the games in America that most don't care about in Canada, the Florida Panthers lost in Carolina 4-1. Interesting story on that game. The Panthers basically didn't take anybody, but they did play Skylar Brind'Amour. Brind'Amour ain't that common. It's not like the name Smith. You know what I mean? Skylar Brind'Amour played for the Florida Panthers last night. His dad, Rod, is the coach of Carolina, and they had a nice moment before the game, the Brindamore family, and then Carolina went out and waxed the Cats 4-1. Islanders beat Philly 2-1. Tampa Bay beat Nashville 2-1 in overtime. Tyler Mott scored the winner for the Lightning. The Kings won over Las Vegas 4-3 in overtime. Tyler Madden the winner there, and Anaheim doubled San Jose 4-2. Any thoughts on the Leafs' lopsided win over Buffalo last night, or any of the games in the National Hockey League?
Yeah, first, go backwards, but really cool moment for the Brindamore family. That was really cool in the Florida-Carolina game. Really like to see that, and very cool when your first preseason debut can be against your dad's team. Now, for the Leafs, I like that Martin Jones played well. Not that he's going to be the starter in Toronto, although, you know, he's been an elite goaltender in the National Hockey League before. This is Samsonov's team, but as Vegas showed us last year, you need to have goaltending depth. They were on maybe their fourth or fifth goaltender, if you're counting Robert Leonard last year in the playoffs. So it's good if you have good goaltenders deep throughout your organization. And if you had to, because of injuries or other circumstances, turn to Martin Jones come playoff time, at least you're comfortable knowing he's got great experience, and it's good to know that he's playing well. So that's a good thing for Leaf fans.
Yeah, I thought he was fine. And like I say, most in the first, and I didn't watch it all, but it doesn't surprise me that the Leafs won rather lopsided, because it was a lopsided game. Domi played in the game, so it was cool to see him in a Leafs jersey, but nobody's playing with a full lineup. So just Sportsnet threw the kitchen sink at it with the broadcast. David Amber was there, hosting it. They had the panel set up in the corner. I don't obviously have the sound up much. I don't need it, but I believe Joe Bowen called the game on Sportsnet television. So they threw everything at it. It was exciting that way, but let's just remember it's the preseason. It don't mean squat. Don't mean diddly. Two other things. By the way, our hockey coverage is brought to you in part by Common Crown Brewing Company. Head down to the tap room in Calgary, 28th Street Northeast, Thursday through Saturday, noon to 8 p.m. Just hang out, have a beer, watch our show on the big screens there in the tap room at Common Crown. You can find out more about their wonderful craft beers at commoncrown.ca. There are, just hold on to your bingo cards, football fans. It's coming up in the next segment. After the break, we'll get to all the football. There's a lot of hockey to get to here. Point to 3, there are 6 games tonight in the National Hockey League, including Connor Bedard's debut in Chicago for Chicago against the St. Louis Blues. It's the topic of my commentary today, which you can read on Sask Radio, Darren. Here it is. Here it is. And I'm not interested in listening to it on the radio. I'm going to try and find it on television somewhere. And it's only preseason, but who cares? It's a big deal. Connor Bedard's playing on the top line for the Chicago Blackhawks with Donato and Taylor Hall. At least he has been through training camp. I do remember a couple of months ago somebody writing into this show. I'm not going to name them because I might be wrong, but they're like, hey, he's not going to be on the top line. He's an 18-year-old. Yeah, he is. Yes, he is. I remember saying, let's just wait until camp and see where the coaches decide to put Connor Bedard. And they put him exactly where I thought they would put him, on the top line. I don't know if he'll stay there, but that's the situation tonight. We can talk about predictions. What's he going to do? I don't think he's going to score a hattie. I don't think he's going to have a 5-point night or a 7-point night like we were used to seeing. I think he's going to be good. So what do you think is going to happen tonight at United Center?
Why not? Like, we should come to expect that he's going to have we should come to expect that he's going to have a 5-point night. Like, that's just what he does, rises to every occasion. And, we got to remember something. Taylor Hall, still a very good hockey player. And you got some talent now on that line. That could be really dangerous. I saw a social media post talking about all the line mates that Taylor Hall has had throughout his career. He played with McDavid on the line, with Draisaitl, Pasternak.
I don't even remember him ever being in Buffalo. Yes.
With Buffalo, played with Eichel. And now he's going to play with Connor Bedard. This is the luckiest hockey player in the face of the earth, Taylor Hall, even though he's bounced around a little bit. So I'm excited to see what they can do together. I think it'll be a lot of fun. But, yeah, I would expect Connor Bedard to make an impression here in his debut.
Yeah, so from the audience, I'll dabble on that, into that. Allie in Texas writes in, and she says, does anyone know if the Blues Blackhawks will be streaming anywhere? I don't, but I'll be spending the afternoon trying to find out. Don't worry, Allie. I'll DM you. She also says, and some people thought he wouldn't even make the team. We don't want to talk about those people because they're idiots and they're know-nothings. Just somehow or another, this came up on my phone today, a tweet from a month ago, somebody saying, sources say Connor Bedard's going to be named captain of the Chicago Blackhawks. Yeah, well, he's not. They decided not to go with a captain at all. So I've had a lot of people write me lately and say, why do you look so happy? I'm like, well, there's a lot of reasons, but one of the main reasons is I've been turning the radio off, largely my phone off for a good chunk of the day, and I'm not watching any of the television talk shows during the day. All of a sudden, my mind's clear. Watch this show. Yeah, you should do that, but nothing else. Jen from the Four Seasons writes in on the topic. Hers isn't about Bedard, but it could be. She says, good morning, everyone. The Pats played decent last night. Mistakes lead playing in an empty barn, I think. Oh, the Pats lost 4-2 to Warriors. The barn was empty. I didn't even look up the attendance. What I say about living in Saska half a century and Canada, I know how it works.
Yeah.
Empty barn, get used to it because that's the way it's going to be. Empty. And I don't even want to talk about what they should have done. It's over. It's over. Point 4, the Calgary Flames announced a 2-year contract extension worth $9 million for Michael Backlund and then named the Swedish center the team captain on Wednesday. They also say 22-year-old Jacob Pelge is out indefinitely with a shoulder injury that requires surgery. So good news, bad news day for the Calgary Flames. I just want to say this about Backlund being named captain. I thought it would be Mackenzie Weegar because I know very little about Michael Backlund. I know a lot about Mackenzie Weegar. He was playing for Florida when I first got here a couple of years ago. I think Weegar's that kind of guy. But my Flames people tell me Backlund's that kind of guy too. And I sit there and think, cool. He won the King Clancy Award last year, which is basically the NHL's award for being a good guy. But I'm like, if he's that great, why was he not named captain after Mark Giordano left to Seattle in the expansion draft? Did Daryl Sutter not want a captain? Did he not want to be challenged by somebody? I don't know. I don't have any idea. And people are saying, Rod, have you talked to the Sutters since Daryl left? Yes, I have. They're not saying anything. As a matter of fact, somebody said to me, well, Daryl's sitting at home on the farm collecting $12 million. I said, I thought it was 8. They said, 8 U.S. Oh, yeah. 12 million Canadian to stay home. How do you get that deal? So I've been paid to stay home. Guess what? It's awesome. It's great. So Daryl's fine. And onwards and upwards. When we come back, all football. You cool with that, Moose?
Let's go. I'm ready.
All right. All right. We'll be right back. We're halfway through the Quick Six show topics here in the warm-up on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, podcast, and YouTube Live.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Guys, Manscaped has done it again. Introducing the Handyman Facial Razor. It's brand new and not for your junk. It's for up top. And like every Manscaped product, tons of thought has gone into it. I got this baby shipped to me just yesterday. Sleek, compact, and charges by USB. We all have problems fitting our razors into our shaving kit for road trips. Not anymore. Order the Handyman today at manscaped.com and get 20% off and free shipping with a promo code The RP Show. Let's bring the Moose in. He has not been home in Toronto yet, so he probably hasn't got his. Or unless you have got yours. Have you got yours, Moose?
I got the notification and the little photo from the delivery guy. It's waiting at my door. So as soon as I get home, it'll be there.
You might want to call your neighbor and tell him to pick it up for you. This is it. Just so you know. I'm not joking.
Whoa.
Sleek. See how thin that is? Charges by USB. I got all these young hockey players and football players and young athletes that are following this show. So I'm going to tell you, guys, manscaped.com right now. You know what? You're all trying to cram everything in your shaving kit. You're going a roadie. Look at this thing. It's like the size of your earbuds, AirPods case. So at Manscaped, man, they think of everything. And they've come to us to help promote their products. So I couldn't be more happy for that. And to endorse it and believe in it is a pretty good deal. Now, yes, we say it is the most interactive show on television and radio, and it is, the RP Show. It's also the most fun. Is there anybody having as much fun as us, Darren? I'll wait. I'll take that as a no. Okay. So we're going to play Deal or No Deal. Hang on. Let me get my timer out here. You know how it goes. Okay.
Yeah.
It's time for Deal or No Deal for our exclusive and official betting partner, Bet Regal. You can follow them at betregal.ca and all their social media channels. Week 17 in the CFL is almost at hand. I give the point spreads. Darren decides whether he's going to take the deal or not, and then I chime in with my thoughts. So it opens with Canada's game of the week, Toronto at Winnipeg. The Bombers favored by 7.5. Moose, deal or no deal?
You got a deal from me. Sold out crowd. No Chad Kelly for Toronto. I'll take Winnipeg and the points.
Me too. Should be a laugher for the Bombers. Sask at BC Friday night. The Lions are favored by 10. Whopping point spread. Deal or no deal at BC Place?
I'll take a deal there too. I don't like the 10-point spread, but I think, there's more problems going on in Saskatchewan right now, and they're not very good on the road.
I'll take the Riders to beat the spread. No deal for me. Saturday, Montreal at Ottawa. Als clinch a playoff spot with a win. They're favored by 2 at Ottawa. Deal or no deal?
Deal. When there's a playoff spot to be clinched on the line, lots to play for. I like Montreal in this spot.
I'm taking the deal, too. How about Fajardo? How about those Als? They're getting hot at the right time. And then Week 17 closes with Calgary at Hamilton. Stamps led by leading passer Jake Mayer, but the Ticats are favored by 1.5 at Tim Hortons Field. Deal or no deal?
Also a deal for me on this one. I like Hamilton at home. It's going to be a great day in Hamilton. I like the Ticats to keep pushing.
Deal for me as well, dog. I'm done betting on the Stampeders. Sign up today and get playing at betregal.ca. Pardon me. Let me take this off. It is hot as hell. When you came down here, did you put that thing on or see it or how hot this road is?
Oh, yeah.
Mon Dieu.
Yeah.
Oh, man. They sent the quality stuff. They sent the quality stuff from Bet Regal, not cheap party store stuff. You know what I mean? So, I'm not done yet on any of this. We're just getting rolling. And there's a lot of time to get into the audience comments. Now is not that time. It's me and Moose time. And I feel like I've been letting everybody else come forth with their opinions, and I haven't really given many of my opinions lately. Stop me if I'm wrong. But I've kind of had enough, a belly full of the Winnipeg people complaining about the Argos not playing Chad Kelly in this game Friday night, who, by the way, I don't think should be a slam dunk for the most outstanding player in the CFL. I've watched more CFL football this summer than I have since I worked in the league. Maybe even more than then, because when you work in the league, you don't get to see all the games. That aside, he's not playing. Winnipeg should be happy about that. And I don't see the Bombers per se complaining about it, but I see all the Winnipeg media complaining about it. I see the TSN people complaining about it. And in a way, I sort of get that because it's taken a lot from the TSN people because they're the rights holder and it's taken a lot of sizzle out of the game. Bombers favored by 7.5. Imagine if Kelly was playing. Point spread might be 2.5 for the Bombers. Maybe the Argos would be favored, but it doesn't matter because he's not playing. But the point is, Darren, if Winnipeg was in Toronto's shoes, they'd do the exact same thing. So stop bitching. I'm so tired of hearing the complaining. Or is it just me?
No, and we talked about this yesterday, and I thought it was, great points we brought up, both of us. But, they need to do what's best for them. And I think, and maybe they're not even thinking about this, but for me, this is the best way to simulate what you're going to go through come playoff time. What happens come playoffs, even when you're in the East Division final? You finish the regular season, you have a week off while teams play in the East and West semi, and then you got to play again. So I'd give your key players this week off, and I would play them next week to see how they respond after a week off to make sure they're still sharp. What are they doing this week to make sure they're still sharp, right? So, and if it doesn't work out, then you got some time to correct it, see what you could do differently, and be in a better position come playoff time. So teams don't often get a chance to simulate this at this point in the season. It's a great opportunity for Toronto to get more prepared for the playoffs.
Well, it's, again, if you're a Bomber supporter, and certainly the team, the game sold out. Everybody expected a heavyweight matchup. That's not happening. But wakey, you don't have first place nailed down in the West. And the BC Lions have their designs on that. You should be kissing Ryan Dinwiddie's, the ground that he walks on, that they're not coming with a full lineup. Have you thought about that? This is a path to victory for the Winnipeg Blue Bomber. Who cares about a Grey Cup rematch or a Grey Cup preview or a heavyweight slugfest? Who really cares? You care about it this week, but when you win, because the Argos roll over in a way because they don't have anything to play for, you should be happy about that. I don't think I've misread that.
No, I think, in a weird way, it's a little selfish from Winnipeg, okay? I don't take this the wrong way. But as a Winnipeg fan...
Well, I'm not, but they might.
And let me put my get in their shoes for a second. If I'm a Bomber fan and I got a chance to see Toronto again, I want to beat them to avenge that Grey Cup loss and be able to say, we're better. Well, when you beat the team without their starting quarterback and maybe the most outstanding player, at least on their team, you can't say that you're better. There's no definitive proof there. You're not going to get that validation from the win, and you're still going to be left empty, wanting more, right? Waiting for that chance that may never come in the playoffs. So I feel like Winnipeg fans are looking forward to this. This is their chance to get back on top. And now, no matter what happens in this game, it won't prove anything about who's better, Winnipeg or Toronto.
No, you're right. But these regular season rematches don't mean diddly squat. I'd like to think this is elementary stuff for the fans, but maybe it isn't. Case in point, we lose the 2010 Grey Cup, Saskatchewan Roughriders. I called the game nationally against the Montreal Alouettes by 3 points, 20-17 at Commonwealth. We all remember Canada Day the next year. Riders down 21 points at halftime, come back and win. Canada Day comeback. Who really cares? Everybody thought, oh, this is the rematch. Do we get rings for it?
Yeah.
Those regular season rematches are like non-alcoholic beer. And I'll throw Sober Carpenter into that because they're our wonderful sponsors of our CFL coverage. Regular season rematches are like non-alcoholic beer. They taste great, but don't necessarily get the job done. There's your meme, Moose, for the day.
Yes. Pretty good.
It's fact. Anybody thinks that this is a rematch of last year's Grey Cup or a preview, whatever, man. It's not. It's a Week 17 game. It's one game, and I can guarantee you that's how both teams are looking at it. But I did take a minute to read the game notes today. So I don't know if it makes me a nerd or what. I'm okay with that if it does. One of my favorite things in the world is reading the game notes every week for the Canadian Football League game. You know that. I've said it forever. And I look at these two coaches. Ryan Dinwiddie. Is it three? Yeah, 3 straight East Division crown. He's coached 3 years, finished first 3 years. Not bad for Toronto. And over on the other side, Mike O'Shea for Winnipeg. I believe I read, because I'm not calling play-by-play anymore, so I don't work hard at memorizing these stats and numbers and things. It's just a good guideline. But I believe O'Shea's 7th all-time winning percentage in CFL history. You're watching 2 Hall of Famers go at it on the sidelines Friday night between Mike O'Shea and Ryan Dinwiddie. To me, that's pretty damn cool. But hey, this is awesome, man, because I haven't even got to everything that I want to yet. Right? Not through. This show's so much fun. Phil is watching in Dauphin, Manitoba. We're very big in Manitoba. Phil says, good day, good day. It's hump day of the week for me. Bro, do you know what? Oh, it came in yesterday. It came in yesterday. I'm like, do you know what day it is, Phil?
I'm going to start ripping them.
He says it's so cold. He says it's so cold in the rink that some of us were looking forward to getting a fever. Bump. Got that one, boys?
There it is.
Brian and Beausejour. This was today it came in. He says, good day, Rod Squad. As a young gun, as a young'un, I played in a rink that was so cold that we put plastic bread bags on our feet and our skates to keep from freezing our asses off. The rink happened to be outdoors with a temperature of minus 40. We were tough nuts back in the day. Yeah, you were. Frozen nuts, too, I'd suggest. But kids don't feel it. Kids don't feel the temperatures. Definitely not the cold. I know I didn't. Bill Dalby is watching in Brampton, Ontario. Brantford. You'd think I'd get that right. Bill says, today is the anniversary of Paul Henderson's famous goal to beat the Russians 51 years ago today, September 28th, 1972. Thank you, Bill, in Brantford. People have asked me, where were you when that goal was scored? I said, wherever my mom was, because I was born 3 months later. And Bomber Boy in Calgary says Moose is making excuses for a scared Argos team. Signed, Bomber Boy. And he also says the Flames brought a knuckle-dragging enforcer to Winnipeg last night who took a match penalty for a headshot on Cole Perfetti. Garbage move. I'm just reading that. I don't have any opinion either way. And NFL tonight, I'll say this. The Green Bay Packers host the Detroit Lions at Lambeau Field in tonight's NFL matchup. The 2-1 teams meet in an early season battle for first in the NFC North, the Cheese League. Last time the teams played, the Lions knocked the Packers out of the playoffs with a victory in their final regular season game. And that's the question, what is a game of the week? That's our poll question today for Key Auto Group. With the Key Auto Group, most vehicles receive a lifetime engine warranty guaranteed. Go to keyautogroup.ca/the Key Advantage for eligibility and maintenance requirements. The Key Auto Group, here to take care of you. What's America's game of the week? This one tonight, Detroit at Green Bay. Is it Miami at Buffalo? Is it New England at Dallas? Or is it Kansas City at the Jets? And 77% of you saying Bills Dolphins. We're going to talk a little Leafs when we come back with James Roberts of the Offside Hockey Podcast. Don't move. We're live on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
Hey, Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpetersonshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpetersonshop.com. Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Collectors register for the Premier Sports Card Convention, where collectors, enthusiasts, and sports lovers unite to celebrate the beauty and value of their treasured items. Taking place in Red Deer, Alberta at the Parkland Pavilion, September 29th, 30th, and October 1st. Get your tickets ahead of time and more information at premiersportscardcon.ca. I'm sure there'll be some collectibles there. Joining us to talk Leafs hockey is our friend James Robert. James, I do have to say this. The reason I wanted to bring you on is when the very first time I went on your show, your podcast, we gained a lot of new viewers on this show. Leafs fans, Eastern Canadians. I wanted to repay the favor. So thank you. But just tell our folks a little bit about where you're at and a little bit about offside hockey, if you don't mind.
Well, right now I'm sitting in Cole Harbour, Nova Scotia. Been doing offside hockey talk since 2016. Started off the fact my wife always said, hey, you like to talk about hockey. Why don't you do something with it? So started just interviewing people, getting people on the show, of course, yourself included. And it's only grown from there. And someone else you might know, Clark Monroe and the 6 and the 6 crew, they all come on the show and hang out too. So
yeah. Well, hey, I love it. And I love going on it. And the thing is, I'm a hockey guy in the DNA, and I recognize another one. You know the game, right? So you're not on there just yapping about stuff you don't know. You know. And I appreciate that about your show. So let me just start here about last night's 5-2 win over the Sabres. What did you think? You obviously watched it. It was on Sportsnet. And I think you would give your life for the Toronto Maple Leafs. So clearly you were following it very closely. What did you think about the game and the lineup and so forth?
I like seeing some of the younger players come through, and you got to look to the future. No matter what you have on your team right now, whether it's the Austin Matthews, Mitch Marners, or Willie Nylander, you need to know what comes next, especially with the cap and everything like that. So you look at the Fraser Mittens. Everybody was wondering about this Cowboy kid they drafted. Why did they draft him so early? He's starting to show why, and just his presence on the ice. I really like what I've seen too. I mean, Nick Robertson, everybody's trying to figure out, is this guy going to be on the team or off the team? And then, of course, with preseason comes injuries. John Klingberg having something tighten up, and now will be evaluated and maybe not come back. But the team itself, there's a lot of good flow. Max Domi, that pass from Timmins. And by the way, Timmins, wow, come on now. That guy's got to be in the lineup. But yeah, just looking at that game, it's great. It's great to see the Maple Leafs finally back on the ice. I mean, it was a gut punch watching them go out in the second round, but now they're here. It's preseason, and you're seeing everything start to come together.
Yeah, I mean, for what it was, they were dominant last night. What more can you do? And it was nice seeing Domi in a Leafs jersey, so everybody seems to be getting comfortable. But let's get the 27 millionth opinion on the Leafs offseason. I want to hear yours. We did talk about it on the air, but ours on your show, but our audience haven't heard yours. You got a new general manager who gave the coach a contract extension, and they got a little sandpaper in the lineup. So what do you think that's going to mean for this year's Toronto Maple Leafs?
I think it means a lot. You look back at all the off seasons, what was every pundit's one thing that they stroke against the Maple Leafs? And it was the fact they never added any physicality. They never added anybody who could bark back when a star player got sat down with a hit, or if someone was going after their guys with stick work. Now you have Domi, one of the best chirpers in the league. Not physically, he won't fight all the time. He's not his father, so Leaf fans, get that out of your head. He's a guy who's got more skill, but he'll still stand up for his teammates. And a guy like Tyler Bertuzzi, who brings that greasy aspect that really does all the little things that get under your skin, but he really doesn't get called for any of his shenanigans. It's usually the retaliator. which if we remember Michael Bunting, his shenanigans used to get him penalties. And then a guy like John Klingberg comes in. He's going to help move the puck. He's going to really help the flow of the game as long as he's healthy. But then again, there's another guy named Connor Timmins who's starting to blow the doors off here in preseason that might take his spot. Who knows? But then I also look at a guy like Ryan Reeves. And I cannot tell you enough how I think Austin Matthews sat down with Brad Treliving and said, we need someone like this to keep the flies off, much like when Matt Martin was here. And this guy will come in with a voice. He comes in with a presence. A lot of guys around the league that are the rats don't want to fight him. They don't want to deal with him. And he'll be there to protect Austin. He'll be there to protect Mitch and all the guys in the lineup that need a little bit of that oomph behind them. He will be there. And I'm loving it. And then some of the depth stuff they did, Benoit, and you look at Noah Gregor vying for a spot. It's everything this team needs, which is guys that hit, guys that fill a bottom six role with presence. And that's what they went and done this offseason. And then extending Sheldon Keefe. What are you going to do? Let a coach come in on a 1-year left deal and be a lame duck? No, you're going to extend them, see what you have. And the Maple Leafs department, well, they have a lot of deep pockets. So they paid Babcock for years to sit on the sidelines. If they have to pay Keefe to do the same thing, they will. But they want to see what they got under the hood with a new GM who may allow this guy to actually coach and do the things he wants. Because I firmly believe last year when he called out his players, Kyle Dubas told him to walk it back. And he had to in the media and do all that stuff. I think this year there'll be a lot more accountability for this team.
I'm just checking in from the audience from D4 Sports Cards. Says London Knights crew, go strong. From Moosehead84 says James is the best Leafs podcaster out there. Let's go offside hockey talk. Allie in Texas writes in. She says it's a good podcast. I listened to it a few weeks ago. So hey, it's not just me. Everybody noticed this is a good podcast. There you go, James. Don't let it go to your head. But when you use that, I say that jokingly. When you said the term "keep the flies off," I was like, there you go. Haven't heard that term for quite a while, and I like it. I like it a lot. You and I did have a good back and forth about, Ryan Reeves with past teams when the going didn't get tough. When it got elite, he wasn't in the lineup. Because we expect this team to go deep, right? Don't we all?
We do,
I mean, this is supposed to be their year. Finish this sentence for me. The Leafs will get to the Stanley Cup final if blank.
It's the old adage, if your stars play the way they're supposed to and do all the things that you watch all of these other teams that go to the Stanley Cup final. You look at Vegas, you look at Tampa, Colorado, all of their big names stepped up in big time situations and played big minutes, but you also found a few guys for depth scoring. And I think the Maple Leafs have that now. You look at the things they've added to this lineup. You could put Domi anywhere, Bertuzzi anywhere. Nyes with a full season will look good. Calle Yarncroke is a player that a lot of people have on a block right now, but he's a guy who scored you 20 goals and can be pushed down your lineup and actually play on a third line and still give you some depth scoring. But if the Leafs are to win the Cup, it's got to be on the backs of the guys who pay the $11 million plus to do the job, and that's Matthews, Marner, and John Tavares, and soon to be, I think, Willie Nylander as well.
See if you can wrap this up in a minute. Jamie from Cole Harbor writes in and says, what about Ryan O'Reilly saying about the team not going out for team dinners? And it seems it's only Marner and Matthews in the spotlight in Toronto. Will that hurt the morale and chemistry? I didn't know he said that. What are your thoughts on that?
It will not hurt the morale and chemistry. You look at Luke Shen last year in the playoffs, took all the guys out to steakhouses, organized dinners. It just seemed like they didn't have that locker room guy to do those things. And what has Ryan Reeves been preaching since he's got here? I'm going to drag all the guys out. I'm going to be organizing all the stuff. Everybody's going to be together on the road and not in their hotel rooms. And if you are in your room, I'm going to drag them out and make sure they come and hang out with everybody. So that will build the morale. That'll build the camaraderie. And these guys will be together doing things. I think it's just lacked a guy like that in the locker room. John Tavares is a great captain, but he's not a social captain. So you need a social captain in the room. And I think Ryan Reeves, even though new, carries that weight in the league that, hey, if Ryan Reeves wants you to come out for supper, you better damn well come out for supper.
It's a very delicate situation, who gets the C or who are your leaders, but it sure is fun to talk about. Well, James, we've reached the end of our time here. Ted in Red Deer says, James Roberts, awesome talk. Too bad it's about the Leafs. I'm sure you get the Leafs hate all the time. No, James, keep on rocking in the free world, brother. And I just want you to know that it's noticed that the job that you're doing, man. Thanks for coming on today.
I appreciate it. Look forward to coming back sometime.
All right, we'll be back with a open line and sports update when we return. It is the RP Show live on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Hey Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpetersonshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpetersonshop.com.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. It's going to be a quickie, a sports update. I knew. I had a feeling when we cracked the mic today, it was going to be a lot of fun. It's been exactly that. By the way, I'm looking at the clip of the hit on Cole Perfetti last night. By the way, Wilf in Steinbach, Manitoba is written in here on the EMJ marketing text line, 902-518-3033. And he says, hi, Rod and Moose. Looks like my teams will rely on other teams to lose to make the playoffs. He's talking about the Rough Riders. And he says, the Perfetti hit looked soft to me. My gosh, is it awesome? The time that we live in the world, 2023, where I can go to my Twitter, type in Perfetti, click videos, and see the hit. I'm like, what? That's nothing. It's a love tap. For those that don't know, second line center of the Winnipeg Jets hit last night. And thank you to Dave Minnick from Illegal Curve podcast in Winnipeg. He's just reported that Cole Perfetti's out skating this morning with the Jets. Next. Oh, man, I got things I want to say with not a lot of time to get to them. And they're good things. I'll have to move it over with Moose for the next hour. Bomber Boy writes in he's in Calgary, but he says, is there a team that sports fans love watching lose more than the Leafs? Yeah, Dallas Cowboys and probably the Rough Riders too, by the way. And we're talking about iconic franchises right there. Somebody asked me the other day, why has the show gone over so big in Winnipeg? And I said, well, Winnipeg, Manitobans overall are very similar to the people where I grew up, prairie people, good, honest people. They enjoy good sports talk. And I don't know why they like me or this show, but I like them. They're on. They don't care where the show's coming from. They just want good. Some of these other major markets, it's like, oh, you're not here. Oh, you're not you. That's not Manitobans. That's not Saskies. That's not a lot of people, but it is some. Sports update. After back-to-back shutout losses, the Toronto Blue Jays will try to put some runs on the scoreboard and move closer to securing a playoff spot tonight against the Yankees. The Blue Jays hold the second of 3 American League wildcard spots. They're just a half game ahead of the Astros and 2 up on the Mariners. 1 Canadian NHL team is in action tonight as Vancouver Canucks search for their first win of the preseason against the Kraken in Seattle. Canucks dropped the 2-1 overtime decision in Edmonton last night and were throttled 10-0 on Sunday in Calgary. The Green Bay Packers host the Detroit Lions at Lambeau Field in tonight's NFL matchup. The teams are both 2-1. And Michigan State has fired head coach Mel Tucker, saying the suspended coach failed to present adequate reasons why he should not be fired for cause after having what he described as consensual phone sex with an activist and rape survivor. The school has terminated what's left of Tucker's $95 million 10-year contract for acknowledging actions that subjected the institution to ridicule, among other reasons. The woman said Tucker sexually harassed her during a phone call last year. Wild stuff. Sports update is for Common Crown Brewing Company. They have the perfect craft beer for your enjoyment, featuring their Core 5, Good Company Hazy Pale Ale, Common Crown Crafted Lager, Journeyman IPA, Brewmaster Blonde Ale, and Coppersmith Brown Ale, 4 of which sit below 5% ABV, making them the ideal beer for your everyday common affair. We got to have more than 30 seconds left, don't we? Did you say 30? 20 seconds. Hey, I get it. Okay. Moose next hour, back in, and Darren Bombing from Bonfire Sports. Stick around after this brief pause, everybody, on Game Plus and Key Radio.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Did you have that deal in Edmonton? Did Jones make you practice the last year?
Oh, hell yeah, he did. Yes, he did. But it was funny because I had that conversation with Foley. I was back in the Rider game, the alumni lounge, and he was telling me that he had a pretty good year that year. His job was to go get pizza for the boys on Fridays, I think, and just pretty much show up for games and hang out with the boys and have beers and eat pizza.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hi, everybody. Yes, it certainly is. Thank you, Rick Regan. Welcome to Hour 2. I'm smiling because we're having a lot of fun on the program today. I'm here in the Florida studio. Darren Moose DuPont is, for now, in the NHL's Bermuda Triangle, but he's traveling soon. We're not going to be keeping him for too long. He's heading up to Edmonton for Canada West football and broadcast duties this weekend. We'll be spending far more time on those matchups this weekend. In tomorrow on a Football Friday, I will ask everybody to give us their opinions now. I'm actually asking for it. Darren, if you can believe, 902-518-3033 is the EMJ Marketing text line. Write us there. EMJ Marketing provides the perfect keynote speaker for your event. Contact Joe at emjmarketing.com. That includes me. That includes Darren. That includes Jim Barker, Paul LaPolice, Stu Grimson, a very impressive lineup of speakers represented by EMJ Marketing. Now, Darren, I want to say something, although before I do, because we haven't got into the NFL story yet. We covered a lot of CFL and NHL last hour. But what's on your mind? What's happening? What's on your mind? I feel like I've been hogging the show today.
No, yeah, it's not like your name's on it or anything like that. But no, it's just football starting to now, as you mentioned that. You know, it's funny, last hour you casually brought up the game tonight, and I'm like, oh yeah, Thursday night football. And ever since you said that, it's kind of like been the official shift towards the football weekend. You know, it felt like it was hockey, I said earlier in the week, and now it feels like we've officially shifted into the football weekend, starting tonight and into tomorrow and throughout Saturday, Sunday. So I'm looking forward to that.
Well, I'm glad that you brought up some of those things, and we'll get to that. Wayne in Victoria, BC, writing in regarding a comment I made near the end of hour one. He just says, what I really like about the RP show is the honesty. Yes, I say there is less BS than some other shows. I'd say there's less BS than a lot of other shows. And we kind of dabbled in the Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce talk this week, only as much as acknowledging that it's there. But I don't want to talk about that. I'd rather talk about the games, and I'm not going to talk about it because I don't care where I can do that. But I was a little surprised watching ESPN Sports Center last night, and they were talking about it on there. But who the hell am I? It's their channel. I'm like, this is Sports Center. Give me the freaking highlights. I don't want to talk about who's nailing who away from the field. But whatever. It's good and it's bad when pop culture intersect with sports. I get that for sure. But we generally stick to sports here, which reminds me, I wanted to bring this up when you joined. This is an interesting story. We started a podcast here in South Florida. Serena and I host it. It's filmed in a studio called Podcast Junkies in downtown Boca Raton, and it's called the Cats and Bolts Podcast. Stick with me. This is not a egregious or gratuitous pump for it, although maybe it is. But we're going to talk about the Florida Panthers and the Tampa Bay Lightning, and we already are. And we had in studio yesterday Bill Lindsay, Florida Panthers great from Fernie, BC. He hasn't forgotten you. Town. And Billy scored the biggest goal in Panthers history. He's a current radio analyst for the Panthers. He's on NHL Network. You've seen him on there, and just an unreal, all-around great guy. So it's live now. It dropped this morning, and I just want to say this. A guy wrote me randomly from here in Florida. His name's Mitch Phillips. He's like, Rod, I'm sitting here watching your show right now, and it's fantastic. Cats and Bolts. He goes, the lighting, the studio, the sound, the talk, the host, the guest. If you ever need some help, I've worked in the business for 30 years, blah, 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 blah. And he goes, I was a little nervous that you were doing a show on both the Lightning and the Panthers, given their rivalry, but it seems to work. And I'm like, I knew it would work. And I said this to Serena a couple weeks ago. Could you imagine a Battle of Alberta podcast? Could you imagine a Battle of Alberta podcast? It would be all about the Flames and Oilers. I said that to her. She goes, that would be gnarly. You know how she talks. And I'm like, in my mind, I think it would be epic. If you sat and had a podcast about the Flames and the Oilers, and of course, when they met each other, that's like discovering plutonium, you know, in the Battle of Alberta games. But I'm like, we can do the same thing here. And I'm like, I know what I'm doing. But what I've realized is it's like Bill Belichick coming out of training camp, cutting all his quarterbacks. And the only one he had on the roster was Mac Wilson. And everybody was criticizing Bill Belichick. 6 Super Bowls later and 300 NFL wins, they're still criticizing or wondering what Bill Belichick's doing. I'm sure it ticks him off, just like it ticks me off that people, after 30 years in this business, still think I don't know what I'm doing. But I've realized, you know what? Just sit back and watch. We'll figure it out. So we will get to the NFL here right now on that. But the Cats and Bolts podcast, neither team's getting a ton of coverage and certainly even less quality coverage. So I knew that it would work. You've watched the podcast. I mean, you didn't think it would fail, did you?
No, but why I think it works, and if anybody young podcasters out there and wants to do the Battle of Alberta podcast and is thinking about this, I think what works is that you kind of have both feet planted in South Florida and around the Panthers. And Serena kind of comes off to me as somebody who's got her feet planted with the Lightning, you know? And so especially in that first episode, you kind of went at each other, you know? And she goes, Sergei Bobrovsky, who? You know? And you're like, Bob's one of the best goaltenders in the NHL. And, you know, you kind of went back and forth, and that was great. Same thing. I wondered if a Battle of Alberta podcast would work, or if a Riders and Bombers podcast would work. But it would if one host was an Oiler fan and one was a Flames fan, and they could go at each other. That would be amazing. And so that's why this works. And if I was living in Alberta, I would do it. So from our audience,
BW and Edmonton goes, awesome idea. I will sign up for the BOA podcast. From John at Edmonton. BOA needs a podcast now. I randomly have ideas. I don't know where it comes from. And I know that a Battle of Alberta podcast, it wouldn't be trademarked. You could use it. Would be epic. But I can't do it because I'm sitting here doing the Cats and Bolts podcast, and it's taken off like crazy here in South Florida because that's where I live. Arlen Bruce writes in, oh, Jeff the Stamps fan says Flames Oilers podcast would be fire. I know, right? Hurry up, Darren. Go trademark Battle of Alberta podcast. Do it now.
I got it.
To do that. Yeah, and they can pay us. I said to Serena, we were sitting on the couch, I said, can you imagine a Battle of Alberta podcast? She just looked me right in the eye and she goes, it would be gnarly. I'm like, yes, it would. Somebody else got to do it. Arlen Bruce III writes, and he says, great morning, RP and Darren, two-time Grey Cup champion, former Kansas City Chief. He says, I'll be in Edmonton for a couple of weeks through the Thanksgiving holiday. Also, I'll be going to an elementary school to read to second graders for an hour. So pumped. Kudos, AB, enjoy. Those are always very, very fun things to do. You talk about a rivalry podcast. Allie in Texas writes in. She says, I guess that means we could have a Stars Wild podcast. Ew. No, you don't necessarily want to have a Rivals podcast, but I'll tell you this. We sat there yesterday talking not just about the Panthers, but we got Bill's take on Steven Stamkos playing unhappy in Tampa Bay this year. So when we left the studio, I said, isn't it nice to not just talk about the Panthers? We talk about the Lightning too. And she's like, yeah, it's awesome. So anyways, it's live and it's great. And thank you. And we've already got sponsors down here in South Florida. Now, before we do get to the NFL stuff, and I know you got to run. We've covered this, but we'll cover it again. God bless the Rod Squad, the people that watch and listen to this show every single day. We'd be nowhere without them. So we do love them. But Michael Wynn writes in from the Ice Time sporting goods store in Winnipeg, and he's watching right now. He does every day on Game Plus TV. And he said, I don't know if you saw it because he tagged you in the tweet too, and he said that it's Bush League, that the Argos are sitting guys for this week's game in Winnipeg. And to be honest, clearly I've already said my thoughts. He's just making his thoughts known, and that's fine too. But the Argos don't care. And to be honest, in week 17, that's not bad. They're 12-1. That makes 13 games. They got 5 to go, 4 after this one. That's not bad of meaningless games. You know, and frankly, the CFL can't care either. If the NBA has load management and all this other crap, the leagues can't care. They can't be upset about this. Can they? They certainly can't do anything about it, or they would. But they can't interfere.
Nothing can be done about it. Again, we brought it up yesterday, and we kind of joked around, and it's like one time this happens, we're going to talk about changing the standings. That would be what the league could do, right? To remove the meaningless games. You know, do something. Because they'd still be in a battle for first place overall with Winnipeg, right? So there's that.
It's 1:11 Eastern, 11:11 Mountain. Continue.
Beautiful.
Thanks, boys. Sorry to derail your train of thought. Let it roll.
No, that's never a derail. Sometimes it's, you know, saving me from going somewhere I shouldn't go. But no, I wasn't going anywhere like that. But, you know, that's what you could do. But there's nothing else that you can do. If you want to rest your guys, rest your guys. You know, what's the biggest thing come playoff time? You have to be healthy. You have to be healthy. Like, you know, one hit on Chad Kelly and boom, he could be out. Not saying that's going to happen, but you need a healthy quarterback, and no other team right now has the luxury of resting their starting quarterback. This is a dream.
Oh, my God. Yeah, well, for Toronto it is. But it's a dream for Winnipeg, too. I mean, again, if you're a real fan, and I know that really that triggers people when you say that, and I don't even really know what a real fan is, per se, what the definition of a real fan is, but this should be an easier win. Your opponent's not
Guaranteed
playing
win
their
night.
top player. Right. So, and you're in a battle for first place. You should be happy about this. Because you got to run, we'll switch over to the National Football League because we are airing in 31 U.S. states. And on the radio in Atlanta, right, Ryan, on radio? What's America's game of the week in the National Football League? Our poll question is brought to you by Key Auto Group. At the Key Auto Group, you can buy with confidence knowing that they provide reports on all vehicles they sell. Get fully informed about your next vehicle by going to keyautogroup.ca. I picked 4 random games, but knowing full on what the real game of the week is in America. It's the Dolphins at the Bills. Joe Lazito in Long Island, he and I have been going back and forth about that game. He's a Bills fan, and apparently I'm a Dolphins guy now. And I'm actually ready to move on from the Dallas Cowboys. They've never done anything for me. But they are in the poll. That's an option. So here are your options. Detroit at Green Bay tonight. Darren talked about that earlier. New England at Dallas, which we'll get to. Kansas City at the Jets. Pretty big AFC game there. And then the Bills and the Dolphins. Everybody knows it's the game of the week, but I was listening to Fox Sports Radio today because, to be honest, the Miami station, it's too much Dolphins, man. It's like, listen, when I hosted that radio show and I did 2.5 hours a day on the Riders, people told me that was too much. But that was only 2.5 hours. It's 24 hours a day, Miami Dolphins on the radio in Miami, which, by the way, is fine. It's their station. It's too much for me. So I flip it over to Fox 640, which is the national radio morning show, and they're talking about what? The Dallas Cowboys and Deion Sanders. It ain't ever going to change. Bills favored by 3 will play Deal or No Deal for the NFL tomorrow for Bet Regal. But how about you? What's your take on Week 4 in the National Football League? What's sticking out at you?
Of the 4 games you picked, I think tonight's game is my second choice behind the Bills and Dolphins. I really think tonight's going to be great. Quietly, Green Bay's been pretty good, and Jordan Love's there. But here's a nugget for you. Do you want to ring the bell? We have breaking news.
Ring the bell, you friggin' pansy. Yeah.
Jalen Waddle's coming back for this Bills game for the Dolphins. Just got the notification 3 minutes ago.
Nice. I didn't think he was going to.
So Jalen Waddle is set to be back, barring anything that's going to happen later this week leading into the game. But that's big. So if you can get the line still with the Bills favored, I would jump all over that real fast. I would rush to the betting apps to Bet Regal, and I would get all over that and take the Dolphins with the points there going in the Bills' favor, because that line should change with Jalen Waddle coming back. I'm really looking forward to that game.
There you go. I did open my computer this morning, and one of the first websites I went to was Yahoo, because that's where my mail is. And headline, Dolphin star Tyreek Hill says when retired wants to become porn star. I'm like, who doesn't? This is news? Okay, Moose. Safe travels. Say hi to our friends in Edmonton.
Thank you.
We're going to Winnipeg next with Darren Bombing of Bonfire Sports and NHL.com. We are live on the Game Plus television network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
RP Show continues. Hey guys, I'm going to say it again. Manscaped has done it again. Introducing the new Handyman Facial Razor. It's brand new, not for your junk, and it's for up top. And like every Manscaped product, tons of thought has gone into it. They've shipped it to me. They found me here in Florida. Manscaped has. We've told you about the lawnmower. That's for downstairs. The weed whacker for your ears and nose. And now this, the Handyman. Sleek, compact. Listen, you hockey players, you young hockey players that message me all the time, and football players too, you're always trying to jam everything into your shaving kit. I've been there. Well, right now, and by the way, this plugs into your USB, so one less cord to worry about. It's perfect for sports people. Travel all the time. Go to manscaped.com, get 20% off right now with the promo code The RP Show and free shipping. That's in Canada and the U.S. They'll ship in both countries and obviously take both currencies. So manscaped.com. We're very proud to have teamed up with them again this fall. Manscaped.com. Get it done. I don't ask you to do much. Where are we? Clark has told me that we are taking a minute to get in Darren Bombing from Bonfire Sports and NHL.com, and that's fine. That means it's just you and me. Oh, and we got him now? Okay, we'll push the sports update off a little. It's just talking about the Jays and Yankees tonight, 6 NHL preseason teams, preseason games. But we got him now from NHL.com and Bonfire Sports, Darren Bombing. Darren, I appreciate you sliding on in. Busiest time of your life probably right now. Bombers in the home stretch. Jets filling. Well, are they filling Canada Life Center, by the way? Was it full last night for the Flames game?
No, not for the preseason games. No.
Is it close?
That's been the issue, right? I mean, yeah, close, yeah, but it's preseason, right? You know, and it's late September. Like, this is the busiest time of year for everybody, right? Back to school, people coming off vacation, trying to catch up on the things they maybe pushed aside during the summer. Kids are in sports, you know, like all my buddies with kids, they're like, I got the daughter hockey Tuesday, Thursday. I got the son Monday, Wednesday. My wife's playing volleyball on Friday. And then, like, you know, the weekends are crazy. So, it's been an issue here in Winnipeg a little bit over the last couple of years where they haven't sold as many tickets as those honeymoon years after the Jets came back in 2011, right? It was about 8 years of pretty consistent sellouts. And then the last few, it hasn't been 1,500, 2,000 seats empty. I mean, when the Bruins come to town, any original six team, the Leafs, the Oilers, the Canucks, they tend to get really good crowds because that's a lot of the teams fans here in Winnipeg cheered for when the Jets were gone from 96 to 2011. But overall, they're really making a push this season to increase corporate partnerships and, you know, people doing group outings and that sort of thing. And, you know, they're hoping they can fill the stands. But, you know, we all know one thing, Roddy, and none of it matters. If the team wins, people will go.
Absolutely. And I remind people they were a playoff team last year, despite being as dysfunctional as they were. So if they get that fixed, yeah, who knows how well, but they made it. It's not easy to make the playoffs in any, well, it's easy in the CFL, but not in a lot of other leagues. Listen, by the way, your sound is incredible. I know you've fidgeted with it and fiddled with it in the past. So we're going to talk about Bonfire Sports coming up here. Guys right now in the sports media landscape. But you can do that. You're a very talented guy between hockey and football. On the topic of complaining, I do see Panthers fans here complaining. I was at the game the other night. I was hungry. It was $24 for a chicken sandwich and fries, US. I'm like, well, I'm not paying that. And they were complaining about the booze prices. As you know, I don't drink, but it's like $18 for a beer. $20 for a single shot. And I'm like, then don't pay it.
Right.
But they just like to complain or stay home. But they just like to complain. And my point on that is there's a lot of complaining about the Argos sitting Chad Kelly Friday night. I'm tired of it. The Bombers would do the exact same thing if they were in the Argos place. That's how I feel. How do you feel about the game of the week not featuring Chad Kelly Friday night?
That game is sold out here in Winnipeg. Third straight sellout at IG Field. The Madhouse on Matheson, as I like to call it, on Chancellor Matheson Boulevard at the U of M. You know, there's 7 actual weeks and 4 from right now and 4 game weeks between now or after this game for the Argos and the postseason. We know they have a bye in the first round. They've locked up the East. You know, you talked about making the playoffs in the CFL is easy. I'm slowly tilting towards being a one division CFL guy. And, you know, so many reasons for that just seem to mount all the time. But for the Argos, people are like, well, there's a month and a half left. Why are you resting Chad Kelly now? Because you can. And Winnipeg, tough place to play. Physical team to play against, talented, hard-hitting defense, crazy crowd, the noise levels in there. I call it the Madhouse for a reason. It gets incredibly loud. And, you know, when the opposing offense is on the field, I think it'll serve Chad Kelly really well to watch, to give him an opportunity to absorb it all without the pressure of having to run the offense. And, you know, he will dress. Maybe we will see him on Friday night in some capacity. Chance to see Cameron Dukes, which is good, I think, you know, for Toronto. It was a backup quarterback that won them the Grey Cup last year. MBT to Chad Kelly. Now maybe Cam Dukes will, you know, it's nice to have that contingency plan in place. But I'm not going to blame any team for doing what they need to do to win. And winning one game, sure, it's important. 2 points in July versus 2 points in October, same 2 points. But ultimately, teams are trying to win the Grey Cup. And for the Argos, they're trying to win the Grey Cup. And they're a 12-1 football team. They can win the Grey Cup. They won it last year. And I think if you rest Chad Kelly now, kind of slowly integrate his load management through the remainder of the season, which really means nothing. They have the East final locked up, first place in the East. You can kind of, it's like the ultimate advantage they have right now because of, the East-West divisions in the CFL. So, any team would do it. The Bombers would do it. The Argos are doing it. Any team would do it. It's a luxury, and I'm not going to blame them. I feel bad for the fans. Me as a Canadian football fan, I'm bummed because I wanted to see all the MOP candidates in the CFL. Brady Oliveira getting a little bit of love. Zach Collaros, of course. Chad Kelly. I want to see those guys go head-to-head in meaningful games. We're not going to get that on Friday, but we're going to get a football game between two teams that I don't think like each other very much.
No, and I guess that's just people's lot is to complain. I mean, I'm following the Lionel Messi situation here, and he's battling an injury right now, and he did not play last night against Houston with Inter Miami, and people are showing up paying $500 US minimum, expecting to see Messi to play, and he's not playing, and now they're mad. I'm like, it's just the way that it is now. Yep. So it's like stay home or don't buy the tickets. But bitching isn't going to get you anywhere. And by the way, let me just interject this because it is the Rod Pedersen Show. God bless you, because I see Naylor saying the same thing about the going to one division versus two. I've given up 20 years full-time in the Canadian Football League here, following the league since 1991, doing sidelines. It ain't happened in that time. I was lobbying for it. Oh, and then we want to talk about CFL expansion. I gave up. So if you guys want to keep beating the drum, go ahead. I'm out on that because they're not going to change it. So
I get that fatigue, Rod. I get that fatigue. If you've been banging that drum for decades, I get that. I think I would hit that point too. But we're going to say what we think. And that's why they pay us the medium dollars, right?
That's what we do. Jets. Where are we on the anxiety scale with the fan base? Where are we at?
Yeah, kind of similar to how people project the Winnipeg Jets to finish this season, kind of in the middle, right? Connor Hellebuck and Mark Scheifele expiring contracts. So much has been said about that. They arrive at training camp and they talk and, they say all the right things. I thought it was really sharp of Connor Hellebuck to say it's about the cup, right? It's not about the city. People in Winnipeg, people in Regina, wherever you are, I think especially in Western Canada, prideful of where you're from. And you don't want to hear an American or anybody say, well, it's not going to work out here, or this or that, right? Smart of him to say it's about winning a cup. And if he thinks he can win a cup in Winnipeg, he'll sign here. That's what he said. But also, the reality is it's business. And the reality is him and his agent, I think it's Pat Brisson, they explored options this summer and talked to teams. Maybe there was a sign and trade similar to the Pierre-Luc Dubois situation. Kevin Cheveldayoff got a pretty dang good return. Rasmus Kupari, Alex Iafallo, the two complementary pieces to Gabe Vilardi, I would say, in the exchange for Pierre-Luc Dubois, and he gets a big contract with the Los Angeles Kings. I don't know if that was really, it was a little bit cooler, I think, on the Connor Hellebuck market because it's a lot of money and it's a long term, right? Not only does he want $9.5 million, reportedly, supposedly, it's the term too. So if you want to be a Stanley Cup contender, we know that you can't tie up a ton of money into a few players. It handcuffs the team. So I think teams, especially seeing, Aiden Hill and Laurent Brossoit backstop the Vegas Golden Knights to a Stanley Cup, maybe teams are backing off that a little bit and saying, maybe we don't need that stud Vezina goaltender to win a Stanley Cup. Maybe we need to invest more in depth or in that third line centerman or more, grit on the defense or whatever it might be, more veteran, influence on a team. So to bring it back to the Winnipeg Jets, I think, it's still all up in the air. Mark Scheifele, Connor Hellebuck, will they sign back in Winnipeg? We'll have to wait and see. If I had to guess, if I was a betting man, I would say the Jets are trying really, really hard to sign Connor Hellebuck. And I think they're trying to sign Mark Scheifele as well. But I also see the trade market for Mark Scheifele maybe being a little bit more of a workable situation for both GMs, because every team in the league wants a top 6 center. That is what Mark Scheifele is. The knock on Scheifele through really his entirety of his career is that defensive side of his game. So, this American Thanksgiving, that line, Rod, we all know in the National Hockey League, that really kind of determines who's in and who's out of the playoffs. I think that's going to be a very important date and important time for Winnipeg to make a decision whether 2023 is win or 2023 is ensure you don't, jail yourself with a roster and losing assets that are UFA.
From the audience, Colin in Ottawa says you can't tie up a lot of your salary cap in just a few players and win a cup. Tell the Leafs that. Yeah, well, they haven't won a cup yet, bro. So chill.
Yep.
I'm with Darren on that one. They're trying.
Don't get me wrong, right? Like Mark Stone deserve it of those contracts. Taves and Kane, Kucherov and Stamkos and all those big pieces of Stanley Cup teams. You need that. But I think those teams that are close to winning a Stanley Cup, maybe that feel they're a goaltender away, man, can we throw the better part of $10 million at one player when we're seeing teams win the cup, with goaltenders that are not pulling in 7+?
As I say, going back and forth, Jay in Winnipeg watching says, I guess we don't have to pull the CFL game of the week. Well, we did that on Wednesday, and Toronto-Winnipeg's winning, and I was a little surprised because I'm like, do you people not know that Chad Kelly's not playing? I don't think it matters. People still revved. They're revved, whether Chad Kelly's playing or not. And by the way, where the heck is it? It was a good comment here from Randy. He goes, you would think Chad Kelly would want to play a team with a sellout crowd. Don't insult us that it's for rest with 5 games to go. I just want to clarify this before we break. Chad Kelly wants to play. Randy, you're a smart guy. Of course, Chad Kelly wants to play. Every player wants to play. It's the coaches that are making this decision that he's not playing. It's for health reasons. End of story. It's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It's the first time I've heard anybody say that Chad Kelly doesn't want to play. Like, come on.
Like all the talk about like, oh, they're trying to protect them or they're trying to ensure that the Argos don't dress their best lineup so the power rankings remain the same, or they can say that they're still the best team in the league or whatever. Irrelevant. Winton McManus is hurt. Gary Peters is hurt. The Argos have a whole bunch of starters that are not going to play. In the end, it's strategy to win a Grey Cup. That's all that matters. The Argos had 3 bye weeks in the first half of the season. They need rest. Makes sense.
Yeah, it totally does. Hey, look, I'm going to let you go. I can handle it the rest of the way on my own, but just give everybody the best commercial you can for Bonfire Sports, because there clearly is a void that you guys are filling in sports coverage there in Winnipeg. Let her rock.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Roddy. Bonfiresports.ca is where you'll find everything. We go live 3 times a week, pregame, postgame, and midweek around the Winnipeg Blue Bombers games. I've got Winnipeg Jets hockey coverage coming really, really soon. I've teamed up with a videographer, very talented young man. We're going to do some things a little bit different covering the Winnipeg Jets, but a great place to get the latest and get your insight and information and great reporting that you need. Trying to do things and have some fun. Bonfiresports.ca. You'll find the pod links and everything on YouTube.
Good for you. If you need anything from us, let us know. Thank you, Darren. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you, Roddy. All the guys. Thank you.
So we got a sports update coming up next, and because it is just me and you, we'll do audience takeover early as well. We got a lot of things on the go. 902-518-3033. Where are you on the Blue Jays? We're on national television across Canada. It's Canada's team. Certainly of baseball. Where are you riding this roller coaster right now? I opened the show talking about it. Maybe we'll talk about that a little bit. I'm seeing the TV ratings. You're all paying attention. It's #1 on Canadian television, the Toronto Blue Jays. But what are your expectations? Because I don't have any. And a lot of times when the expectations are low is when they knock them out of the park. Pardon the pun. But I don't expect that to happen. We'll be right back on Game Plus TV. WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. BDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Hi, my name is Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with The Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
It is the RP Show, and as promised, it's just you and me the rest of the way. And I like that. I like that for a change. Monty in Saskatoon writes in, says, great show today, Rod, my brother. Thank you, Monty. I feel the same way. I don't know what it was. From the moment we took off today, I felt that it was going to be a great show, and it has been. I get a kick out of this. The Battle of Alberta podcast. They're hung up on that. And some are wondering why, if you weren't watching earlier, you're wondering why were we talking about that or what is it? BW in Edmonton says, BOA podcast, Battle of Alberta. Peter Labardi is for the Flames, Jason Strudwick for the Oilers. Yeah, but they can think about that. It's exhausting having to do the thinking for everybody in a situation like this. And the reason I bring it up, I'll recap it. Serena and I have started a podcast that's strictly about the Florida Panthers and Tampa Bay Lightning, and it's going over gangbusters here in South Florida like I knew that it would. I knew that it would. It's my third NHL season down here. Waited, looked around, got the lay of the land. I'm like, this would work. And a guy just wrote me today from Fox Sports and said, this show is great. And he goes, I didn't know that it would work. I didn't think that it would work because of the rivalry, and it's awesome. I knew that it would. And I said, imagine a Battle of Alberta podcast, Flames and Oilers. It would be the greatest thing. But I'm not doing it. So here's Brian and BW in Edmonton can't get past it. Somebody can do it. It's free. Go ahead. It's yours. Randy from Winnipeg says, great show today. I have to go election training today. Making a few extra bucks and need new golf shoes. See you, Randy. Thanks for participating. Brian in Beausejour, Manitoba says, the Blue Jays are hard on the heart. More often than not. We'll still be cheering for them while they're in the race, but definitely keeps the blood pressure up. And he says, another 2 hours of my day not wasted. Yeah, I appreciate you hanging out with us here for 2 hours on Game Plus TV. And however you are enjoying the program today. I'll say this, and Clark would agree because he's the baseball guy in the crew. Thank God they added those wild card spots. Remember when it only used to be one game? Now it's a best of three. Certainly given us a lot more intrigue down the home stretch, hasn't it? Has it not? But I'll say this about the Blue Jays. I just can't. I know there's just diehard Jays fans in Canada. I'm just not one of them. There's enough things that I am very passionate about. The Blue Jays will not be one of them. So I got my eye on it. This is interesting. Jen from the Four Seasons says, I'm hoping for the Packers to win tonight. Betting-wise, though, I'm not sure if I'm going to take them this week. Head over heart sometimes. Jen, you're like me, I feel. Please don't be offended by that. It's hard to separate the head and the heart when it comes to betting, and that's why I largely don't do it. Even in Stanley Cup playoff time, I usually get my lunch fed to me because I bet on the teams I want. I draft from the teams I want to go to the Stanley Cup, not what I think will. By the way, Lions favored by 2.5 tonight going into Green Bay. I should have asked Darren whether he was going to take that bet or not. Should be a good game. Amazon Prime's got it. What's it in Canada, Clark? TSN? Are you following? Was it in Canada? Okay. He's not sure. A sports update now as promised. 6 NHL preseason games on tap tonight with the Vancouver Canucks, the lone Canadian team in action. The Canucks play their second road game in as many nights after falling 2-1 in overtime to the Oilers last night. Connor McDavid scored the winner there. Hey, how about this? Connor Bedard, preseason debut for the Chicago Blackhawks tonight. This is always the conundrum in sports you get into. How excited do you get? What do you expect? Would you bet on an over-under for points tonight? We covered this way back in the warm-up, so I won't spend much time on it here now. But I'm pretty excited about Connor Bedard and the Chicago Blackhawks playing the St. Louis Blues tonight at the United Center. I've got friends that are there. They're probably watching right now. I've instructed them to send me photos, so be watching for those. That's what's got me excited. Not the Blue Jays and the Yankees. Which, speaking of the Blue Jays, going to try to get their bats going. They've been shut out the last 2 games against the Yankees, including 6-0 Wednesday night. Toronto ranks second in the American League wildcard race, a half game up on the Houston Astros. I mean, back to the Blackhawks and Bedard tonight. I'm not speaking for anybody other than myself, but it's really awesome cheering for players rather than teams. You got a very wide wardrobe of teams and gear, but that's fine. Maybe I'll be getting some Blackhawks 98 gear. I don't know. But to be locked down to one team is kind of boring, and it sucks, especially when they're losing. International soccer star Lionel Messi wasn't in Inter Miami's lineup in a 2-1 loss in the U.S. Open Cup against Houston. It's the 4th match he's missed in recent weeks because of a leg injury Inter Miami is at home to New York City on Sunday, but it's unclear if Messi will play. That's 12 miles that way. Pink Drive Stadium. Drive Pink Stadium. Haven't made it there yet? I'd like to, though. But I'm not paying $500 US. And that's even if it was guaranteed he'd play. But that's just me. A lot of people do. We got more, but I'll wrap it up this sports update here right now and tell you that it's brought to you by Common Crown Brewing. They have the perfect craft beer for your enjoyment, featuring their Core 5, Good Company Hazy Pale Ale, Common Crown Crafted Lager, Journeyman IPA, Brewmaster Blonde Ale, and Coppersmith Brown Ale. 4 of them sit below the 5% ABV, making them the ideal beer for your everyday common affair. If you're in southern Alberta, or if you're traveling through Alberta, go check out the tap room beginning today, noon till 8. They got a bar right in the brewery. Not joking. They got big screens on there, and you can watch this show and try out their product. 28th Street Northeast, look them up. Common Crown Brewing Company. They also bring you our hockey coverage in part. We'll be right back with overtime, and I haven't got to all of your messages yet, so I'll do that. One more segment to go. 902-518-3033 to reach me right here on Game Plus TV, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Hey Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpetersonshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpetersonshop.com.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
7 minutes, they tell me, for Overtime. It's brought to you by Overtime Hockey Lanes. And I got to tell you, they don't sit back on their laurels at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. They've introduced, I got to get this right, I got to be careful, Focky. Foosball meets hockey. Clark, I'm not comfortable saying it. Foosball meets hockey, they call it Focky. Like Meet the Fockers, the movie. Just go check. Hey, they had kids playing it last night. Check out their social media. Their Instagram's the best. At Overtime Hockey Lanes, 28th Street, Northeast in Calgary. Very easy for me to remember because it's only 3 blocks away from Common Ground Brewery. They say there's no coincidences. Where skill and fun collide. Overtime Hockey Lanes. I call it an amusement park for hockey players. What more do you need than that? By the way, from Ryan O'Radio, WQEE Atlanta. He says, another great RP show, Atlanta's NHL show. I can't adequately put into words how proud I am to be known as Atlanta's NHL show. It's funny because when they talk about NHL expansion or moving a team, although who knows, man, they might actually go to 33, 34 teams. Who knows? There's no rhyme or reason anymore in the world. I'm just like, Atlanta. Yeah, move over, Houston. And Quebec City and Saskatoon, I'm sorry, you did stop it. Bonfire Sports in Winnipeg. That's Darren Bomick was just with us. He says, always great being on the show. Hope you all have a great sports weekend. We're not done. We got 6 minutes. That's an eternity, everybody. Everybody's saying bye. Allie in Texas. Great show, RP crew. Have a great day, all. No, we're not done yet. The best stuff's coming up. I asked for people to chime in with their Blue Jays thoughts. Again, I ain't stupid. I can smell what's hot. The Blue Jays are destroying every other sport in the ratings right now in Canada. People paying attention. And I get it. They're in a playoff spot with less than a week to go in the regular season. Sure. I just don't expect them to go too far. I now expect them to make the playoffs. But Chad, watching in Lethbridge, writes in. He says, the Blue Jays can't capitalize with runners in scoring position. The field changes have also gotten into their head. Pitching has been lights out, but no run support. Another great show and great shirt. I thank Darren for this. This is an oldie but a goodie. You know I love Under Armour. You always see me in it almost every day. I went and got it tailored the other day, though, and it looks even better. You should see it when I stand up. From the crowd, Jim in Belgoni says, love me some Blue Jays, but so inconsistent. Very talented team, but not happening this year. Sad. Good day, all. Well, welcome to dealing with young men. Inconsistent. And wouldn't that surprise us all if they go on to win the World Series? Maybe those are the best. You know, and by the way, back to the Cats and Bolts podcast. Just yesterday, we had Bill Lindsay on, Panthers great, and we talked about how the Panthers, they win the President's Trophy 2 years ago and lose in round 2 to Tampa. Everybody expected them to win the Stanley Cup. Didn't happen. Last year, nobody expected them to win the Stanley Cup, and they went all the way to the Stanley Cup final. So maybe lack of expectations is a good thing. And just now, the hockey people and fans in South Florida are going, wow, a podcast about the Panthers and the Lightning. Didn't think that would work. And it works. Thank you. And I was saying a Battle of Alberta podcast, Flames and Oilers, Serena's term, he goes, that would be gnarly. Frankly, I think it would be epic. Todd in Red Deer writes in, he goes, okay, with Jason Strudwick and Peter Labardius doing it, I changed my mind. It would work. LOL. I guess that's why I listen. LMAO. Yeah, I really noticed it with Belichick. And if you want to call me the Bill Belichick of broadcasting, I'm okay with it. I can't imagine that dude. Coming out of training camp, Belichick cuts every quarterback but Mac Wilson, and he's getting ripped neck from navel by all the media pundits for only having one quarterback. He's only won 6 Super Bowls and 300-plus games, but no, he doesn't know what he's doing. I get it. I get it. That's why I tell people, you do the watching and listening, I'll do the talking, and everything will work out just fine. Bomber Boy in Calgary writes in. He says, thanks to this show, the Rod Squad is the most informed audience in sports fans' sphere. I would agree. Kirk in Toronto never misses a show on Game Plus television. He says, hey, Rod, Kirk from Toronto. This show, less BS and no swearing. Yeah, we tippy-toe around it, but we don't jump right in it like McAfee. And definitely not spitting chiclets. But again, it's okay. There's going to be room for what we do over here. I know what the young hockey players and football players are watching this show because they tell me, but they're watching those guys too. There's room for us all. And here's my last thing. I wanted to point this out. When I say this new handyman razor from Manscaped is just perfect for the sports people, it is. This is for your face, guys. It's tiny. Fits in your shaving kit because we can't get everything in for the road trips. Here's this one. Simplify your away game. It's tailor-made for sports people. I'm telling you, I use it at home, obviously, but charges with their USB. These guys think of it all. See, that's why they stay to the personal grooming. I stay away from it. They just send it to me, and I use it. And I tell you to use it, and you do. 20% off. With the promo code VRPShow at manscaped.com. Now I got the lawnmower, I got the weed whacker, and now I got the handyman. They found me here in Florida. Manscaped. We're on the same team. You got to be on it. Tomorrow, a Football Friday. It's just going to be fantastic. Thanks to our crew today. See you tomorrow, noon Eastern.
McFly, hello.